to the Secret Restaurant Podcast. Nate Hoyle will not be in today, so I will be your substitute host. My name is Bruce Carl Foote. Today we are not going to talk about literature, because literature is for little skinny weenie boys. Instead, I'm going to be tuning you in to my workout routine and my various dietary
Sorry, I don't know who that guy was. I don't know how he got in here. That was crazy. He was huge. He was a giant, dude. Maybe I should have left him here in the booth to fill us in on how he got the way he is. Went to a concert yesterday. There's a very cool venue in Iowa. And I can't remember what town it's in, but it's like in the farmland. It's in the crops, sprouting up amongst the cornflakes. It's called Codfish Hollow, and it's a concert venue that's literally in a barn. And they have some pretty crazy shows there. If you go to the website, you can see how much the real deal it is, because they actually do have big acts come through there. You have to drive like on a gravel road for like 10 minutes to get there. John C. Reilly played with his band there, but I think that was honestly like 15 years ago. This is my first time going to this venue in maybe 6 years. I saw the band Sleep there, doom metal giants. Metalheads should know that band. But I saw them there. I also saw that dude, Nathaniel Ratliff, right before he blew up, because he had a song called S.O.B., and I saw him at this venue, and the whole place was shaking. But then after that, he had like songs and commercials and was playing on late night TV and whatnot. But this most recent time, the headliner was a country bluegrass underrated icon by the name of Charlie Parr. This is my third time seeing him. Twice I've seen him just play by himself, and then one time I saw him play with a band under the band name The Devil's Flying Machine. But if you're into guitar, you gotta watch him play live. There's plenty of stuff on YouTube of him playing. He plays by himself a lot, and literally it sounds like it's multiple people. Like he can play the bass line while also doing the bluegrass noodling just on one guitar. And then his songwriting is very moving. His songwriting's amazing. I think he's an underrated giant. I don't know how he's not more famous. But that being said, it's always good to go to shows that you don't think they're famous enough. And then it's a good turnout, and then the people there know the songs, know the words of the songs, or get excited when certain particular songs start. That's always a good feeling. And then the opener, I can't remember his name, but I think he was the front man for a band called The Pines, but he was playing by himself. And I found his set moving too for a couple reasons. Firstly, he was playing this guitar that was 100 years old, or it was made in 1928, and it sounded so cool. It was like a hollow body guitar with like an old school pickup on it. Just ignore me if you don't know about guitars, but he described it as haunted sounding or having ghosts in it, and I was like, that is dead on. And then he was playing like old traditional blues songs and other stuff that he wrote too. And one thing that I found appreciative of that set is it was very politically angsty. The dude was very angry about the state of things in America. And, you know, a lot of people are mistaken. A lot of people see Iowa, rural Iowa, as like a bunch of idiots. That's not necessarily the case. Like, he was playing in Iowa in a rural state, and he was being received by people in a way that was like, people are unhappy. It's not just this state is bad and this state is good. And one thing I was thinking about, because it was very moving being on a microphone and being bold, I was like, I feel like I'm too silly. I need to get more angsty, you know, with my own art. I need to be more charged with angst, because I got plenty of that deep inside me. But the blues and bluegrass and underground country is already kind of, even down to its lyrics and down to its heroes and legends who are long gone, there's always an angst towards, greed and improper living, neglect of regular people and all that stuff. It's pretty rooted in bluegrass, which is weird that people worship rich people now. But I can't stress enough how good this venue is. I think everyone should try and go. It's only open during the summer, obviously, because it gets too cold. I think they're open through October or something like that. But the whole thing is just like awesome. It's like you have to park way up on this hill, and then you can either take this bus or you can walk down this gravel road. It's maybe another quarter mile down this gravel road, and then you get to the venue. It's like a barn. The stage is literally in a barn, and then it's like on this kind of hillside with you can go down to see like this bar, and there's like a food truck down there, and then like there's another bar up on top of a hill, and then it's only like porta potties, which is unfortunate, but I think it's like literally it's owned as a farmland. Like it's not only a venue. Like when the people leave, they have like livestock there. It's pretty badass. And then also out of towners, you can camp overnight where you park. So people were bringing like tents, or I saw a few campers, and then some people just had like little things they attached to their cars. So if you don't, it's pretty close to where I am now. It's like an hour away, so I have the privilege of not having to stay there. But if people are from out of town or further away in Iowa, you can camp overnight, especially if you're going to tie one on. Depends on whether or not you would like to stay overnight in the bugs and darkness, or if you want to go back to the city. If you want to go back to the city like a little weenie boy. Yeah, it's called Codfish Hollow once again. But Charlie Parr, man, I mean, I first discovered him in maybe 2015. He's a Minnesota-based artist, so that's also another tie. Man, the amount of Minneapolis and Minnesota-based artists that are overlooked is outstanding, man. There's so much great music going on there, and so many artists that are like local legends that kind of stay there and live their career there and don't really get exposure outside of that. It's interesting. But anyway.
Ain't Iowa where they grow all those cornflakes? Ain't Iowa where that rooster lives in the cornflakes box?
Like I'm not getting my point across about how good Charlie Parr is. I wanted to read a song that every time I hear it, I'm on the edge of my seat. One of the greatest songs ever written. In 2005, it's called Cheap Wine. All these old ladies coming in here to buy cheap wine, they ain't no better than all these bums coming in here to buy cheap wine. Leaning against the counter on a gloomy day, the snowfall, clear the sidewalk and the entryway for all the old folks and the bums and the hustlers and the rude kids. I can't stand the sight of them. I wish I could sell this place. I wish I could buy a boat and just float away. All these old ladies coming in here to buy cheap wine ain't no better than all these bums coming in here to buy cheap wine. I know I ain't got it so bad. I can go home at night and sometimes sleep. I can quit drinking when I want to. No one is here to bother me. There's no one here to bother me, so I keep the liquor store open past curfew. Some nights I don't have to go home. All these ladies coming in here to buy cheap wine ain't no better than all these bums coming in here to buy cheap wine. I never meant to do anything wrong, do any harm, or frame that kid who wasn't so bright and drunk at the time. Anyway, they killed him, not me. I've got a business to run. I've got property here. He had nothing. All these old ladies coming in here to buy the cheap wine ain't no better than all these bums coming in here to buy the cheap wine. But I'm better than all this. Crazy derelicts can go to hell. I'm better than this. I make my own way. Sometimes I can sleep at night. I opened the store an hour before daybreak and put all the labels facing out. I'm tired of all these labels. Why don't they just say it? Cheap wine is cheap wine. All these old ladies coming in here to buy cheap wine ain't no better than all these bums coming in here to buy cheap wine. Leaning against the counter on a gloomy day, snow falling, clear the sidewalk and the entryway. When's the last time you heard song lyrics like that, man? Crazy. I do feel like a lot of songwriting, especially even though it's really good songwriting, it doesn't really translate the same way when you read it as opposed to when you sing it. Because the melody kind of takes over. And sometimes on paper, unless it's more than like a line, a lot of times the song itself is better as a song than it is being read. And I think that one in particular, this Cheap Wine by Charlie Parr, is an exception to that. Very good storytelling. What's going on with Secret Restaurant, you ask? Well, thanks for asking. I still have maybe 3 copies of the new pizza issue on eBay. It's hard to tell people how to find that unless you go to my Instagram or the Secret Restaurant Instagram, which is at Nate Hoyle or at Secret Restaurant Press. And then the link to the eBay shop is in both bios. But furthermore, if you do search on eBay pizza and then the season that you're looking for, so the ones available are spring or summer, and then you type in Secret Restaurant, it shows up. But I don't know if that's because I've already been to that link or if the algorithm wouldn't show up. Because originally, when I would look up Secret Restaurant, when I first started the eBay shop, it would go to all like cooking books. Now that I got my website up, I need to get that shop a little bit more accurate and figure out how people can find me easier, because that is something that is, pretty important. But if you go to Amazon, you type in Nate Hoyle, those ones show up. It's so weird, man. I feel like the internet is like, I kind of like this idea that I'm about to tell you, but then also it's really inconvenient. I feel like the internet is just getting more and more saturated to where like you can't even really do things on it anymore if you're like an up and coming business or a small business, because it's so oversaturated with other people uploading things constantly. And then also there's so much stuff that is just like AI, or like someone just put it up because they're trying to start like a channel that's just all slop, I think is what the technical term is. So in reality, if you did a glass half full of that problem, just like business outside of the internet will probably become more important. Although I think when I try and do in-person business, a lot of people's mindset is still like online is what's most important, or I don't need to do business in person because I have online still. I think that's still a thing. But a couple years from now, when the internet just becomes more and more saturated, hopefully person-to-person business, especially in the publishing world, will become the norm. I've had like mixed luck. Some places are great about having consignment of local zines or books or whatever. And then other places you'll go in there and be like, do you guys carry local books or do you guys do consignment? And then they will be like, no, not even close. So that's kind of a roadblock. I don't know. Not to complain about it, but I just feel like people, more now than ever, people don't learn or collaborate or anything like that with person to person. Like that community is very bleak to me. Whereas most people are finding what's trending as far as music or writing or whatever. They find what's trending, or they see what's going on online more so than taking recommendations from people or reading people that are in their circles or bubbles or whatever. That is a generalized statement that's not 100% true, because I've met plenty of people who I've known for years and we've become supportive of one another, or people are supportive of me who don't make art, and I'm very grateful for that. I was watching this interview. I talked about the rapper Joey Badass, I think last week or something. But I was watching the interview of him because if people don't know, there was kind of a thing in rap in the 2010s, around that time, 2010, 2012, that's called like the blog era. And so it was like when SoundCloud became a big thing, and when like there were all these blogs putting out mixtapes of rappers that were self-released. And a ton of rappers that are some of the most successful and wealthy rappers today got their start in this quote unquote blog era. And so Joey Badass was one of them. Basically, it was like people started their own labels, they started their own projects. They would put them on these sites like DatPiff or SoundCloud, and then the blogs would start to talk about them. And this is what Joey Badass was saying. He was saying that back then, the culture then of just like internet in general, but also rap music in general, people were way more interested in discovering things that hadn't been discovered. And I think there was sort of a stigma there where people who were outside of that were like, oh, like hipsters listen to music nobody's heard of. And then it became like a negative thing. But really, like that sort of ideology that you go out there and you find stuff nobody's heard of, and then you share it, and then these blogs share it. Like that culture was actually very, very good for art. And it's not like it doesn't still happen now, but the fact that everything's on Spotify now, or we don't use these same kind of outlets and blogs to discover music and share music, I think it has taken a toll on art and smaller artists. I was called a hipster a million times back then. And it was, I think that stereotype, or like people who they make fun of things and they label things, it does kind of ruin that sort of collaboration, or like people are afraid to be labeled as something. And so then they don't want to talk about bands and artists that nobody has heard of, because it's like, oh, you're a hipster. Oh, pretentious hipsters. It's like, no, it's like people are just looking for new art that hasn't been exposed yet. And they're supporting people who don't have what the people who are viral or who are on the radio have. And a lot of it is marketing too, like we have these summer artists, like, I mean, no disrespect to Charlie XCX, but the whole like Brat Summer thing was like a huge marketing thing. And then everyone in that demographic that would be exposed to that music, it became the whole thing. It was marketing. And so that's something that's fine. And I think it's a good idea. Kendrick Lamar kind of did something similar with the beef, and then his whole like Super Bowl appearance. It was like a big event in addition to having an album out. But I just wish that people would quit. And maybe it's been long enough. It's been 10 years that people quit saying that like listening to bands that other people don't listen to makes you like pretentious, because it doesn't. It's actually like pretty fun to do that. Anyway, I'm probably wrong in some ways, or in certain, there's probably plenty of people who still go find stuff. Because I remember the blog era. I remember finding a ton of artists really early on in their career, and it was mostly because of this podcast called Dead End Hip Hop. It was like 4 dudes would talk about albums, and then at the end of the year, they would have their favorite albums. And literally in that podcast, I found Kendrick Lamar in like 2011 when his major label debut hadn't even come out yet. And I found like Odd Future was a blog era group that has like Earl Sweatshirt, Tyler, the Creator. J. Cole was releasing mixtapes. I know mixtapes go way back because they go way back to like trading literal CDs. But the online mixtapes and the blog era, I found like artists back then that are like huge now. And I don't really know, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, maybe people can tell me. I don't really know what's going on now that's similar to that, where like an independent artist can get hyped like that. I mean, new artists still go viral. But even going back to the whole slop thing, the whole internet saturation thing, it's like now we're kind of learning the rules of like how you do get big. Like you have to have these streamers talk about your work, or you have to have reviews in these sites. You have to post like once a day the same video or the same song with different music videos. Like there's these tactics that are more about the algorithm and more about streaming and stuff than they were about putting a project on a blog and then people listen to it and it might get shared and people might blow up from that. I think one problem I have with my own press is that I need to start just working on like building profits on a day-to-day thing, because I've got all these ideas that are probably unobtainable as far as publishing goes. Because also the other thing is like music is a way more thriving business than literature. But I have ideas, but I think Evan was teasing me about not wanting to throw away my bubble mailers because I have a bunch of them. But, you know, I started this business 3 years ago. I have an LLC. I file taxes. I keep track of my profits. And in reality, what I'm working with, the finances that I'm working with, in order to make profit, are pretty small because I don't sell the books for that much. I don't print that many. And so if I throw out $20 worth of bubble mailers, that's like actually a huge dent in like what profits I could have had. Like the books themselves, if I print one, put it in a bubble mailer, you know, that's like $250. So then anytime you waste ink, anytime you waste paper, cardstock especially, bubble mailers especially, like then the book isn't $250 anymore. Then it's like $350, which that doesn't sound like much, but it's the same reason that people like want to sell a burger for $14 instead of $12, you know? Like all those things matter. And restaurants are a little bit, like real restaurants are a little bit different because, you know, they get write-offs and food goes bad and you have employees who are learning how to cook or maybe mess things up or a wrong order gets made. But then also restaurants, you know, their profit margin is way huger, especially if they're having lines out the door. I also did not go to business school. This is all just me taking everything in. Maybe I should have gone to business school and then I would be not rambling. I would have a plan and a different outlook on sharing literature with the entire country, the entire world sometimes. I've sent books to probably 5 countries, excluding America. Anyway, don't have much to talk about with literature except that I've still been reading Erasure by Percival Everett. I'm probably 2/3 done. I'll probably finish it this week or maybe by the next week because I was reading some other stuff too. I was reading a couple books about musicians too. I'll talk about those another time. But that's pretty much it. I think I'm going to attach the old Percival Everett James episode, which was recorded in mid-December 2024 after I finished that book, just because I kind of lost track of which throwback episodes I'd done. I'm trying to start doing that again. Just for fun. Just because why not? Just because 22 minutes and 52, 53, 54, 55 seconds is pretty short when you think about it. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. Goodbye.